The smell of roasted turkey fills my mother's dining room as I pass the bowl of mashed potatoes to Uncle Pete. Jazz floats from the old record player in the corner, Dad's Miles Davis album, the one he saves for special occasions. The familiar weight of tradition wraps around me like a comfortable sweater, even as I calculate how much sleep I can steal tonight before my early shift tomorrow. Mom sits at the end of the table, her pearls catching the light from the chandelier. At 59, Janine Hale still maintains the elegant posture of the ballet dancer she once was, her silver-streaked hair swept into a perfect chignon. Her turkey is always flawless, her table settings immaculate. The perfect mother, at least in photographs. "You outdid yourself again, Janine," Aunt Martha says, spooning cranberry sauce onto her plate. Mom smiles that practice smile that never quite reaches her eyes. Just a simple family dinner. Nothing is ever simple with my mother. Dad clears his throat at the head of the table, his reading glasses perched on his nose as he carves another slice of turkey. At 65, Russell Hale's hands still move with the precision of the engineer he's been for 40 years. Steady, reliable, predictable. "Rowan," he says, his voice casual as Minnesota small talk about the weather, "is the $2,400 a month helping at all?" My fork slips from my fingers, clattering against the good china. The sound seems to echo in the sudden silence. "What money?" The words fall from my lips before I can stop them. The jazz fades away, replaced by a rush of blood in my ears. 6 pairs of eyes turn toward my mother, who dabs her lips with her napkin, an island of composure in a sea of sudden tension. "Dad?" My voice sounds strange, like it belongs to someone else. Dad's forehead creases as he looks from me to Mom. "The monthly transfers. For your tuition and expenses." His eyes narrow slightly. "Janine's been handling them." Mom takes a sip of her wine, the ruby liquid catching the light. "I've been sending it to Elodie," she says finally, her voice smooth as polished marble. Dad's face drains of color. "What are you talking about?" "That was for Rowan's tuition." I grip the edge of the table, my knuckles white. Elodie, my little sister, living in Arizona, building her fashion brand. My sister who posts weekly photos of her beautiful apartment, her weekend trips to Sedona, her designer clothes. Elodie has to build her brand, Mom says, examining her perfectly manicured nails. Rowan's always managed. Managed. The word sits like a stone in my stomach. Managed means 3 jobs while carrying a full course load. Managed means stapling the soles of my shoes when they split open. Managed means collapsing during my shift at the bar 2 months ago, waking up alone in the ER with an IV in my arm and a $3,000 medical bill in my inbox. The room tilts slightly as memory washes over me. Standing in Mom's spotless kitchen 2 months ago asking for $80 for a used anatomy atlas I desperately needed. "That's a luxury, sweetie," she'd said, not looking up from her recipe book. "We have to be practical." That night, I'd picked up an extra shift at the bar, pouring drinks until 3 a.m. before stumbling home to study until dawn. 3 days later, I collapsed. The doctor called it extreme exhaustion and dehydration. When I called home from the hospital, no one answered. It was Jonah, my lab partner, who brought me groceries when I was discharged. Jonah, not family. And all that time there was supposed to be $2,400 a month. Money that could have meant 1 job instead of 3. Money that could have meant actual sleep, proper meals, shoes without staples. Money that went to Elodie's brand, to her weekend trips, to her designer clothes. I push back from the table and stand slowly. My napkin slides from my lap, landing on the hardwood floor like a surrender flag. "How long has this been happening?" My voice trembles but holds. Mom sighs, as if I'm the one being unreasonable. "You've always been the strong one, Rowan. Elodie needs more support. She's more delicate than you." Dad's confusion morphs into anger, his face flushing. "Janine, we agreed the money was for both girls equally. We set up those transfers specifically for Rowan's graduate school expenses." The room spins slightly, fragments of conversations from the past 3 years clicking into place like puzzle pieces. The way Mom always changed the subject when I mentioned financial aid. The surprised look on Dad's face when I mentioned picking up another job. The knowing glances between Mom and Elodie during family video calls. I take a deep breath. I need to see the bank statements. Mom's eyes flash. "Don't be dramatic, Rowan. It's Thanksgiving." "Yes," I say, my voice steadier now, finding its strength in the midst of betrayal. And I'm thankful for clarity. I want to see them tonight. Have you ever discovered a family secret that changed everything? Comment below with your experience. Next day, the morning sun filters through the Venetian blinds in Dad's home office, casting prison bar shadows across mountains of bank statements. My fingers tremble as I sort through 3 years of financial records spread across his mahogany desk. Each page reveals another wound, another betrayal. Dad sits beside me, his reading glasses perched on the end of his nose, his face ashen. His hands shake as he turns each page, the paper rustling like autumn leaves. This goes back 3 years, Rowan. His voice cracks. The full duration of your graduate program. I nod, the numbers swimming before my eyes as I calculate silently. That's over $86,000 that should have been mine. The words taste bitter on my tongue. $86,000. The cost of my dignity. The price of my collapse in the bar, of the staples in my shoes, of the nights I fell asleep over textbooks because I couldn't afford to reduce my work hours. Dad flips to another statement, his finger tracing a series of transfers I hadn't noticed. His face drains of what little color remains. There's more. Much more. He slides the paper toward me. The heading reads, Rowan Elizabeth Hale Trust Fund. A trust fund I never knew existed. A trust fund systematically drained month after month, year after year. The floor seems to tilt beneath me. My college graduation gift from Grandma Rosé, inheritance she left specifically for my education gone. The money meant to fund my medical school dreams. The safety net I never knew I had, pulled away before I could ever fall into it. The door to the office swings open. Mom stands in the doorway, her silk robe belted tight around her waist, her face a mask of outrage when she spots the papers. You had no right to go through those. Her voice rises, shrill and defensive. She lunges forward as if to gather the evidence, but Dad stands, blocking her path. You've stolen from our daughter, he says, his voice deadly quiet. From both our daughters. Mom's eyes narrow. Don't be dramatic, Russell. I made necessary adjustments. Elodie has always been special. She needed it more. Special. The word echoes in my head like a taunt. Special enough to receive my money. Special enough to justify my suffering. You took my trust fund. The words escape before I can stop them. Grandma Rose left that for my medical school. Mom's jaw tightens. You were managing just fine. Elodie's business needed capital. It was a practical decision. Before I can respond, the phone rings, the landline Dad still insists on keeping. He answers, putting it on speaker when he sees the caller ID. Dad? Elodie's voice fills the room, high and panicked. Mom isn't answering her cell. There's a problem with my account. I only got $3,500 this month. How am I supposed to pay rent and keep up appearances for my brand? The Sedona retreat is next weekend, and I need at least another $1,000. The silence that follows is absolute. Mom's face hardens into something unrecognizable. Dad's expression shifts from shock to determination. Elodie, we'll call you back, he says before hanging up. He places his hand on my shoulder, warm and steady. I had no idea, Rowan. This ends today. Half an hour later, the doorbell chimes. Dad checks his watch and nods. That'll be Franklin. Franklin Barnes stands in the office doorway, grim-faced and determined. The family attorney's presence turns this morning from a family dispute into something official, something legal. Franklin's been our attorney for 30 years, Dad explains. He'll help us fix this. Barnes adjusts his wire-rimmed glasses, examining the documents I've arranged in chronological order. His frown deepens with each page he reviews. This is serious. There are legal implications here, Janine. My phone buzzes with a text from Jonah. How's it going? Whatever you need, I'm here. A simple message that somehow steadies me in the hurricane of betrayal swirling around this room. Barnes drafts documents on his laptop, printing them on Dad's old printer. The sound of papers sliding out marks the beginning of consequences. I'm implementing an immediate freeze on all accounts, Barnes explains, passing papers to Dad. And these are the initial documents for legal separation, Russell, as you requested. Mom's practiced composure crumbles. Tears well in her eyes, but they transform to fury as she watches Dad sign without hesitation. You'll regret this, she hisses. Both of you. While Barnes and Dad continue their work, I open my laptop and access my student loan portal. What I find stops my breath. Application after application for grants and loans all marked Withdrawn by applicant. Applications I never withdrew. Someone used my passwords. Someone deliberately ensured I would have no financial support. Someone wanted me to struggle. The evidence stares back at me from the screen. The final cut in a death by 1,000 slices. I thought we were a family, I whisper, not caring who hears. The word family hangs in the air like smoke from a fire that's consumed everything I believed in, leaving only ashes and the bitter truth. Blood means nothing when betrayal runs this deep. Dad meets my eyes across the desk, his face lined with guilt and resolve. We still are, Rowan, just not the one we thought we were. What would hurt more, the financial betrayal or the emotional one? Share your thoughts below. 3 days later, the cheerful ping of my phone wakes me at 6:14 a.m. I squint at the screen, expecting another shift swap request from the bar. Instead, it's a Facebook notification. You've been tagged in Janine Hale's post. My thumb hovers over the screen. 4 days after Thanksgiving, and this is the first contact from my mother. I tap the notification. There we are, the Thanksgiving table, turkey gleaming under the chandelier light, everyone smiling as if nothing had happened. Mom's perfectly manicured finger must have pressed post right before Dad asked about the money. Her caption reads, "So blessed by my devoted daughters. Family is everything. Gratitude blessed family first." The phone slips from my hand onto the thin mattress. 37 likes already. Comments piling up about what a beautiful family we are. What a performance. I step onto the cold floor of my apartment, the familiar draft cutting through my worn pajama pants. The stack of envelopes I collected last night sits on my kitchen counter, all past due notices. Electric, water, credit card maxed out on textbooks, the medical bill from my collapse, now threatening collections. My phone buzzes again. Elodie. How could you do this to me? Her voice trembles through the voicemail. Dad froze the accounts. I need that money. My rent is due, and I have 3 brand collaborations this week. I can't work with puffy eyes from crying. Fix this, Rowan. Fix this. As if I broke something that was working perfectly. The knock at my door startles me. It's too early for visitors, too persistent for package delivery. I peek through the peephole, and my stomach drops. Mom stands in the hallway, pearl earrings catching the flickering light, cashmere coat buttoned to perfection. Rowan Elizabeth Hale, open this door. I consider pretending I'm not home, but Mrs. Gertrude from across the hall has already spotted her, exclaiming loudly about such a lovely mother visiting. I open the door just as Mom begins explaining to Mrs. Gertrude how worried she is about her troubled daughter. Mom, I say, keeping my voice even, this is a surprise. She sweeps past me into the apartment, her eyes cataloging every flawed water stain on the ceiling, the mismatched furniture, the textbooks stacked as makeshift bookends. We need to talk about what you've done, she says, setting her designer purse on my scratched coffee table. Your father is being completely unreasonable, and now you've dragged Elodie into this mess. I've dragged Elodie? The words feel strange in my mouth, like foreign objects. Mom paces the small room. You've always been jealous of her success. But to manipulate your father like this. Manipulate? I'm surprised by the calm in my voice. By asking about money that was supposed to be mine? That money was for family needs. I'm the mother. I decide what our family needs. And what the family needed was Elodie's designer wardrobe? Her eyes flash. You have no idea the pressure she's under. Building a brand requires investment. And medical school doesn't? She waves her hand dismissively. You've always managed. That's what makes you different from your sister. You're stronger. Strong. The word that justified every burden they placed on my shoulders while cushioning Elodie from consequences. I'd believed it once. Wore it like a badge of honor. Mom continues pacing, her voice rising. A young couple passes in the hallway, slowing to listen. You're making a scene, I say quietly. I'm making a scene? You're the one destroying this family with your accusations and demands, after everything we've done for you. The couple is definitely listening now. Perfect. Just what I need before my afternoon shift at the lab. Please leave, I say, opening the door. I'm not going anywhere until you call your father and tell him this was all a misunderstanding. That's when my phone rings. An unfamiliar number with the university prefix. Excuse me, I say, stepping into the bathroom, the only private space in my studio apartment. Miss Hale? This is Andrea Wexler from the Office of Financial Aid. We've reviewed your emergency assistance application, and I wanted to personally let you know it's been approved. My legs go weak. I sink onto the edge of the bathtub. With your grades and circumstances, you qualify for immediate emergency assistance and potentially our hardship scholarship for next semester. Can you come in today to complete the paperwork? I press my hand against my mouth, forcing back an unexpected sob. Yes, I can be there at 11. When I emerge from the bathroom, Mom is reading a text on her phone, frowning. I need to go, she says abruptly. Think about what I said, Rowan. Family comes first. The door closes behind her, and for the first time in years, I feel something unfamiliar settle in my chest. Not rage, not resentment, but something lighter. Something like possibility. 2 hours later, I'm sitting across from Professor Matthews, my hands clutching a folder of financial aid forms. Rowan, I've been meaning to speak with you, he says, his bow tie slightly crooked as always. Dr. Lee and I are expanding our research on mitochondrial disease markers. We need a paid research assistant. 20 hours a week, flexible schedule, decent stipend. Interested? I stare at him, wondering if this is some elaborate joke. But the position wasn't posted yet. We're skipping the posting. Lee wants you specifically after seeing your lab work last month. He slides a contract across the desk. You'd start Monday. That night, I lie in bed staring at the ceiling. No alarm set for a bar shift. No delivery app pinging with orders. Just silence and the gentle hum of my refrigerator. For the first time in months, maybe years, I sleep. Really sleep. No jolting awake to study. No anxiety dreams about missed shifts. 8 uninterrupted hours. When morning light filters through my thin curtains, I stand before the bathroom mirror, studying my reflection. The dark circles under my eyes seem lighter. My shoulders no longer hunch toward my ears. I don't need to break myself to be worthy. I whisper to my reflection, the words feeling foreign but true. My phone rings. Elodie. Instead of ignoring it, I answer and suggest meeting at Riverbank Coffee at 12, neutral territory with witnesses. She arrives 20 minutes late in white jeans that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget, a caramel-colored leather handbag dangling from her elbow. Her hair falls in perfect waves while mine is scraped back in its usual ponytail. This place doesn't even have oat milk, she complains, sliding into the chair across from me. I push a regular latte toward her. Thanks for coming. Like I had a choice. She stirs her drink aggressively. Dad's being completely unreasonable. He's cut my allowance to practically nothing. And now my landlord is threatening eviction. I take a slow sip of my coffee. Did you know? Know what? Did you know the money was meant for both of us? I keep my voice steady, my eyes on hers. She shifts in her seat. Mom said you didn't need it. That wasn't her decision to make. Or yours. You're just jealous. Her voice rises slightly. You've always been jealous of me. My apartment, my connections, my life. I say nothing, just slide a folder across the table. What's this? She flips it open, frowning at the hospital letterhead. My medical bills from when I collapsed at work 2 months ago. This is what managing looked like for me. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after betrayal? What was your first step toward healing? 2 weeks later, the university counselor's office smells like coffee and old books. Dr. Marion sits across from me, reading glasses perched on her nose as she reviews the documents spread across her desk. My bank statements, Dad's affidavit, medical records from my collapse. I've seen financial aid issues before, but this. She removes her glasses, pinching the bridge of her nose. Deliberate sabotage of your FAFSA applications. Diversion of over $86,000. And your mother listed as your financial supporter while you were working 3 jobs. I study the edge of her desk, worn smooth by years of students leaning against it, probably in similar states of desperation. Your case for independent student status is solid, Doctor. Marion says, stamping a form with more force than necessary. With this documentation, we can backdate it to when the diversion began. The weight that lifts from my chest makes me lightheaded. Independent status means grants, not loans. It means 1 job, not 3. Thank you, I whisper, the words inadequate for what this means. Back at Dad's new apartment, we construct a timeline on his dining room wall. Yellow sticky notes for bank transfers. Blue for my loan applications. Green for Elodie's social media posts about her shopping sprees dated evidence that now serves a purpose I never imagined. Dad stands back, arms crossed. 3 years, 4 months, and 12 days of deliberate deception. The precision in his voice reminds me that before he was my betrayed father, he was an engineer who believed in measurements and accuracy. Now he measures the depth of his wife's betrayal in days and dollars. My phone buzzes for the 4th time tonight. Mom. Her texts swing between tearful pleas and vicious accusations. Your father is destroying our family and you're helping him. Why are you doing this to us? The us stings most. There was never an us that included me. Franklin Barnes arrives at 7, legal briefcase in hand. Dad's trusted attorney for 3 decades now feels like my advocate too. He spreads documents across the table, the legal language turning our family tragedy into something almost clinical. We need to think bigger than just recovery, Barnes says, tapping a document outlining trust fund statutes. This is about protecting your future, not just reclaiming your past. Dad nods, but I notice his hand trembling as he signs another form. This isn't just about money for him, it's 35 years of marriage built on lies. The restraining order is temporary, Barnes explains. Just enough to keep Janine from accessing any more funds or creating scenes at your workplace. A knock at the door makes us all turn. Dad answers, then steps back, surprise registering on his face. Elodie stands in the doorway, designer handbag clutched to her chest, eyes rimmed red. I need to stay here, she announces, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Mom's friends are asking questions. Someone at church mentioned a financial scandal. I can't handle it. Barnes raises an eyebrow at me. The timing is suspicious. Elodie appearing just as we review the trust fund documentation. You can't stay here, I say, keeping my voice level. Not right now. Her face crumples. But I'm your sister. Where am I supposed to go? For the first time, I notice something beneath her perfect makeup fear. The same fear I've lived with for years, wondering how I'd make rent while buying textbooks. You have an apartment in Arizona, I remind her. The one my money paid for. That's not fair. I didn't know. Didn't you? I open my laptop, turn it toward her. Your rate. My professor review of Dr. Harrison. Anonymous, but the IP address matches Mom's home network. Posted the day after he offered me the research position. Elodie's mouth opens, closes. Mom said he was taking advantage of you. No, he was helping me. And you tried to ruin his reputation. My phone pings with an email notification. The University Scholarship Committee. I scan the message, then look up, momentarily stunned. I got it, I say to no one in particular. Full academic scholarship based on my research proposal. Dad's face breaks into the first genuine smile I've seen in weeks. Barnes nods approvingly. And Elodie looks utterly lost, as though watching a play where everyone knows their lines except her. My phone pings again. The university newspaper wants to feature my research project on cellular regeneration. The same day, Dad receives confirmation of his formal complaint filing against Mom's financial misconduct. The tables are turning so fast I can barely keep up. That night, I post a simple message thanking my supporters, carefully avoiding any mention of family drama. Within hours, it garners more comments than anything I've ever shared. People I barely know offering congratulations. Professors sharing opportunities. Meanwhile, Dad tells me Aunt Martha confronted Mom at their church group. Family friends are quietly declining Mom's lunch invitations. Elodie texts that her fashion school wants justification for program expenses previously covered by family support. Their carefully constructed narrative is crumbling. Just past midnight, my phone rings. Elodie. I almost decline it, but something makes me answer. I had no idea how hard you were working, she says, her voice smaller than I've ever heard it. 3 jobs? While taking full credits? The silence stretches between us, filled with years of unspoken truths. I started at the boutique today, she continues. Part-time. It's not much, but... I watch the snow falling outside my window, covering the world in clean white, a blank slate. It's a start, I say finally. Later, an email from Mom arrives, subject line blank. Perhaps we should talk. Dad's response when I forward it to him is immediate. Reconciliation requires accountability, not just apologies. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm standing on solid ground. Not because of what I've taken back, but because of what I refuse to give away anymore: my peace, my truth, my future. I won't be defined by what they took from me. Would you give family members who betrayed you a second chance? What boundaries would you set? Next week, on Wednesday, the corner booth at Mabel's Diner feels like neutral territory, Switzerland in the Cold War of our family. I slide into the worn vinyl seat, positioning myself with a clear view of the door. Outside, autumn leaves scatter across the parking lot as an October wind pushes them into little tornadoes. Janine arrives 15 minutes late, her camel hair coat and pearls absurdly formal against the backdrop of blue-collar breakfast specials and bottomless coffee. She scans the diner with barely concealed distaste before spotting me. "Rowan, darling." She kisses near my cheek, her Chanel perfume settling around us like an expensive fog. This place is quaint. Elodie trails behind her, clutching a glossy gift bag with tissue paper blooming from the top. Her smile wavers when our eyes meet. "I brought you something," she says, pushing the bag across the table. "A peace offering." "I don't touch it. Thank you, but let's talk first." Janine orders herbal tea, grimacing at the ceramic mug the waitress delivers. She launches into what sounds like a rehearsed speech, her hands performing their familiar ballet of emphasis. "Family is everything, Rowan. We've all made mistakes. We all have regrets." Her voice has that practiced lilt she uses at her garden club. "It's time for healing, for moving forward together." Elodie nods earnestly. "Mom and I have been talking about how to make things right." Janine slides a manila folder toward me. "We've drafted a proposal. A fresh start for everyone." I take a sip of water, letting the ice clink against my teeth. The folder contains paperwork for me to voluntarily relinquish remaining trust fund claims in the interest of family harmony. The document uses words like mutual agreement and amicable resolution, while essentially asking me to forfeit everything. "Are you finished?" I ask when Janine's monologue about family obligations finally runs dry. I remove my own folder from my bag, placing it carefully on the table between us. The label reads simply, "Evidence." The 14th of November, 2022, $2,400 transferred from my account to Elodie's. I flip a page. The 18th of December, 2022. Additional transfer of $5,000 from my trust. Janine's face hardens. This is unnecessary. The 3rd of February, 2023. I continue, my voice steady. Trust fund withdrawal of $12,000 for educational expenses. That was during my hospitalization for exhaustion. Elodie's eyes widen. "Mom said that was for your student loans." I reach into my pocket and place my phone on the table, tapping the screen once. Janine's voice fills our corner of the diner. "Of course I didn't tell Russell. Rowan has always been able to manage. Elodie needs more support to establish herself. It's a mother's prerogative to allocate resources where they're most needed." Janine lunges for the phone. I slide it back into my pocket. "I'm not here for revenge," I say, meeting her eyes. "I'm here for honesty." The diner door opens, letting in a gust of cold air, and Franklin Barnes, briefcase in hand. Behind him, my father's familiar silhouette appears, shoulders squared with resolve. "Right on time," I say. Barnes places his weathered leather briefcase on the table, extracting a thick document. This is a complete accounting of all funds diverted from Rowan's accounts over the past 3 years. His voice carries the calm authority of 30 years of legal practice. The total exceeds $86,000. My father pulls papers from his own folder. "I found these in your desk drawer, Janine. Letters from Rowan's university about financial aid applications that were never completed." His voice catches. "Applications you told me you'd helped her with." I place my medical records on the growing pile. "This is from my hospital stay after I collapsed during a double shift at the bar. Diagnosis: severe exhaustion and malnutrition." Finally, I open my laptop, turning the screen toward Elodie. Her own Instagram feed displays post after post: weekend trips to Sedona, designer purchases, brunches at upscale restaurants. Each caption mentions mom's support or family backing. Janine stands abruptly. "I don't have to listen to this." "Yes, you do." My father blocks her exit from the booth. "For once, you'll hear the truth." Elodie stares at the hospital records, her mascara smudging as tears form. "I didn't know it was like this. I thought..." She looks up at me, her carefully constructed reality crumbling. I thought you were fine. You have no idea the pressure I was under. Janine's voice rises, drawing glances from nearby tables. Maintaining our standing, ensuring Elodie could establish herself properly. Neither do you, I say quietly. The words hang in the air between us, simple and devastating. Barnes clears his throat, presenting another document. This is a formal restitution agreement. Mrs. Hale, you'll note the division of assets appropriately compensates Rowan for funds misappropriated, with Mr. Hale's full consent. My father's voice is firm. The majority goes to Rowan. Elodie will receive a reduced monthly stipend contingent upon part-time employment. Elodie nods, mascara tracks mapping her surrender. That's fair. Janine's hand trembles as she reaches for her tea. The reality of her diminished lifestyle registers in her eyes. I stand, gathering my evidence. The money wasn't really what this was about. What's more important in family relationships, financial support or emotional honesty? The answer surrounds us in this vinyl booth, in the space between what we say and what we mean, in the price we pay for truth. At the present, the white lab coat hangs perfectly pressed on the back of my door, a daily reminder that dreams can survive even the harshest winters. I run my fingers across the embroidered name Rowan Hale. Research Assistanta's morning light streams through my apartment windows. 1 year after Thanksgiving that shattered my family's carefully constructed facade, I finally slept through the night. My refrigerator holds actual groceries now. Not just condiment packets stolen from fast food restaurants or the bruised apples discounted at the market, but real food that doesn't require mathematical calculations to justify. Last night, I cooked chicken with fresh vegetables instead of living on ramen and coffee. The framed diploma catches the sunlight from its place beside a photograph of our research team. Professor Harrison stands in the center, her silver hair gleaming, her hand resting proudly on my shoulder. The 5 of us beam at the camera, celebrating the publication of our study on cellular regeneration. My phone buzzes with a message from Dad. Need a ride to dinner tonight? I smile, typing back. I've got my car now, remember? See you at 6. The apartment isn't fancy, just a 1-bedroom near campus with walls thin enough to hear the neighbors sneeze, but it's clean, warm, and filled with books I no longer need to borrow. A small desk in the corner holds a stack of papers topped by an envelope I've read a dozen times. The letterhead of the University of Minnesota Medical School and the words, full scholarship, still seem like a dream I might wake from. You earned this, Jonah had said when the letter arrived, his arms wrapping around me as I stood frozen in disbelief. Every single bit of it. The memory of his kiss warms me as I pull my hair into a practical bun and gather my notes for the day. Later, as evening approaches, I stand in my kitchen chopping vegetables for a simple salad to bring to dinner. The rhythmic click of the knife against the cutting board soothes me as I prepare real food for people I actually want to see. Dad opens his door before I can knock, his face creased in a genuine smile. At 66, Russell Hale looks younger than he did a year ago. Retirement suits him. Volunteer work at the Veterans Center has given him purpose beyond engineering blueprints and failing marriages. She's here, he calls over his shoulder, taking the bowl from my hands. Jonah appears in the hallway, dish towel thrown over his shoulder. The turkey's resting, he says, pulling me into a quick embrace that smells of sage and warmth. The table is nothing like my mother's perfectly appointed dining room. A mismatched collection of plates surrounds a ceramic turkey platter Dad found at a thrift store. Paper napkins sit folded beside everyday silverware. A small arrangement of pine cones and candles serves as the centerpiece, is simple, honest, beautiful. The doorbell rings just as I set down my purse. That'll be your sister, Dad says, his eyes meeting mine with a question. I nod, squeezing his hand as I pass. It's okay. Elodie stands on the porch, holding a ceramic dish with oven-mitted hands. Her hair is pulled back in a practical ponytail, her face bare of the expensive makeup she once wouldn't leave home without. The designer clothes have been replaced by jeans and a sweater that looks handmade. I brought sweet potatoes, she says, her voice catching slightly. I made them myself. No personal chef this time. For a moment we just look at each other, the sister who took, and the sister who was taken from. Then I step back, opening the door wider. Come in, we've been waiting for you. Around the table, conversation flows without the artificial perfection of our childhood dinners. Dad carves the turkey with the same precision he once applied to engineering designs. Jonah's hand finds mine beneath the table, a warm anchor in this sea of change. The community college program is actually really good. Elodie says, explaining her sustainable fashion courses. I'm designing a line from repurposed materials, calling it Second Chances. The irony isn't lost on any of us. Mom sent a Christmas card. Dad mentions carefully, glancing my way. It's on the mantle if you want to see it. I nod, but don't rise to look. The stilted message inside represents Janine's tentative attempt at connection, not forgiveness sought or needed, but acknowledgement of reality. It's enough for now. I'm establishing a small scholarship, I say, changing the subject. For working students. Not much, but enough to prevent someone else from stapling their shoes together. Dad's eyes shine with tears as he raises his glass. To seeing what matters, he says. Later, after dinner is cleared and goodbyes exchanged, I stand at Dad's living room window watching snow fall in fat, lazy flakes. My phone buzzes in my pocket, Elodie's name lighting up the screen. A year ago, I would have ignored it. Tonight, I answer. Hey, I say softly. The conversation isn't perfect. We still step carefully around certain topics, but it's honest in a way we've never been before. In the window glass, my reflection stares back stronger than before, but still carrying the shadows of what was. Behind me, the Christmas tree lights twinkle, casting colorful patterns across the room, waiting for Christmas Eve and another family gathering. Some things aren't meant for me, I whisper as we end the call. But some things are.